This week on Gotta Go, the podcast for people that want to know about all the things but don't have much time, I need to apologise to Molly.
My baby brain has been next level.
I want to talk to you about my favourite beach and why it's making me a bit sad.
And I've got a new political crush.
Ooh, I love that.
All this on Gotta Go.
Well, Ma, I wanted to start with a bit of an apology this week. I feel like I've just been at you a lot about burping your baby, sleep training your baby, and it's got to the point this week where you were like, all we talk about is you talking about putting my baby on a sleep schedule and burping my baby.
I mean, I don't
And
know.
you're a bit over it, so
yeah.
that's fine.
Well, apology accepted. I mean, I don't know what we used to talk about before anymore.
Yeah. We talk about the podcast or Amali's non-existent sleep schedule.
Brandy's like, how's the sleep schedule going? I'm like, it's going so well, apart from the fact that Amali doesn't know she's on a sleep schedule.
Yeah, haven't you shown her the schedule?
I said, Molly, you should be asleep right now. And she just looks at me and is like, bing, I'm so awake. So yeah, look, we're getting there, and I understand that you're being a very supportive older sister. You've been there, you've done that.
Well, is it supportive though? I don't know that it is. I think that's the point. You're just a bit over it. So I think like it's hard as a big sister who's been through it, and you want to just be like, these are all the things that changed my life and made me sleep and like helped us. And I just want to like impart that onto you, but like quite aggressively.
Yeah.
And I just have to pull back because
No, I get it. It's just also I know they say like every child is different, but it's not a cop out, but every child is different.
Of course.
And Amali cries a lot more than your boys cried. Quote mum. Yeah, it's just a bit of a different situation. And yes, we're going to try and follow a schedule, but at the moment it's just not working.
Yeah. And you don't have to follow a schedule.
And she's, it's 4 months old.
Yeah. So anyway, it's just been a bit of a thing for me of like, I've got to pull back. I suppose too, like the difference is, because I wouldn't speak to a friend like this. I wouldn't be like, you've got to do this. Like, why aren't you doing, not that I'm saying that to you, but I'm like, hey, how's the burping going? Have you burped? Like, because I just found my baby screamed and screamed until I learned to burp them. But I suppose there is a flow-on impact because you're my sister. I spend time with you and you're really flat and tired and flat. And so I'm trying to like...
So you're doing it for selfish reasons?
Well, I'm sort of also trying to like help other things, flow-on effects. And I suppose I'm just trying to always troubleshoot is the problem, and it's maybe not my job.
A lot of your advice is very good, but also what I really appreciate at the start of when baby came was you would say, hey, can I offer up some information? You'd never just tell it to me. Now you're telling it to me.
Okay, so now I'll go back to, can I offer up something that was helpful?
But it would also be a bit rhetorical. You'd be like, can I offer something up there that's helpful? I'm going to tell you anyway.
Well, it gives you the option to opt out.
No, I know it's coming from a place of good intention, and I appreciate that fact, but
you're over it.
Yeah, it's getting a bit boring.
We'll chat about sleep and burping and schedules in a year.
We'll see. We'll see how long. How about we see if you last a day?
As they say in netball, here if you need. Here if you need. Okay. I won't bring it up again.
How did that go in netball?
Well, I wasn't really a netball player. I was
a
hockey player. So never was needed. But no, it's a common netballism. You're like, here if you need, Okay. So here if you need. Aggressively here if you need. But I'm not going to talk about sleep schedules anymore.
Baby brain is a thing. I'm fortunate, I guess, or not fortunate, I don't know, that I've been working along the way. So I feel like my baby brain is a little bit better because I have to be on a lot.
So I'm just going to let our listeners know we're having a pre-production meeting last week for the podcast. And I said to our producer, Brianna, I was like, Molly, can you just block your ears for a second? And she goes, oh, yeah, I'll just turn the volume down. I was like, just for 60 seconds, I just want to share something with Brianna that I don't want you to know because I want it to be a surprise when we do the podcast. And so you turned the volume down, walked off, forgot that we were having a meeting, and literally I saw you walk past the screen 15 minutes later just hoeing into a lamb sandwich. And you were like, oh, hello. You're still on my screen.
Oh, my God. I made myself a cup of tea. I made my mum a cup of tea. I ate a lamb sandwich.
I know. It looks
I cleaned
really
the
good.
kitchen, and then I looked back at my phone and I'm like, oh, my God, we're still on a pre-production meeting. And you guys are like, hi, Molly, we're just finishing it now. I'm so sorry.
So funny. You get a leave pass on that when you've got a tiny baby.
But would love to know, have you got any good baby brain stories? That'd be fun.
Yeah. You hear a lot of things like people putting like car keys in the freezer or, just things in random places. But yeah, it's a time. I think my words were the thing that went.
Yeah.
You know, you just are grasping for words. Like, we know sleep is like the most important thing. You know, when you've had a bad night's sleep, they say it's the same as basically being under the influence of alcohol when you're driving.
Yeah.
Like, you're that mentally...
Well, I was giving a presentation the other day, and for the life of me, I could not think of the word formula. So I had to like charade what a formula was. So I was like, the thing where you're in an Excel square and you're putting in numbers and brackets and the maths. And then I was like, formula? I'm like, formula.
A formula. Oh, that's so funny. My husband, Byron, had to go to Sydney for work yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
So it was a big, long day and he's coming back. But he just had a very funny story from coming through airport security. So he's coming through and there was this guy there. And I didn't realise this, but they make men like take your belts off when you go through airport security. I don't really wear a belt, so I'd never noticed.
Yeah.
And this guy is there and he goes through the scanner and he's holding his pants like this. And this lady, like English as a second language, she's like, you can't hold, like you can't put your hands there.
Oh, no.
And he's like, but if I don't, my pants are going to fall down. And she's like, go through and do it again. And he's like, I have to hold my pants up. My pants are going to fall down. So Byron's just watching this like, oh, what's going to happen here? And it's getting a bit more heated. And you know how like in security lines, people are they're very like clear. They're very black and white. Like there's no grey area.
Type A.
Anyway, so of course, Byron looks back and this poor guy is standing there, pants around his ankles, like hands in the air. And she's like, put your pants up. What are you doing? You got. And he's like, I told you this would happen after this very long process. Anyway, I just thought that was the funniest story I'd heard in a while. Airport security, don't mess with it.
Cute.
But also get some tighter pants maybe.
And I like, once again, how you like to do a little recap. You're like, I just thought it was a funny story. Moral of the story, get some tighter pants. Thanks for the
recap of my
Thanks for the
recap.
recap of your recap, Bryony. Big sistering without
Well,
big
I'm just
sistering.
going to stop talking. Take it from
Oh
the
my
floor.
gosh.
Take the floor.
Isn't that the ultimate, like, mother thing? Well, I'm just going to stop talking then.
But you know when you hear a funny story that just stays with you like that? So to this day, one of the best stories I've ever heard was our friend Courtney. She was working at a fancy restaurant when she was at uni, and she tells this story of this girl going over to a table, and you know, this family had ordered a fancy bottle of champagne, so she's showing them the fancy bottle of champagne, and she's like, well, you know, I'll open it for you. Pops the cork, and it comes flowing out, exploding everywhere, the champagne. So what does she do? What any normal human being would do, she just put her mouth right over the bottle. She stops, looks at the family. They're all staring at her like, what are you doing? And she's like looking at them like, oh, no.
Because that's kind of what we do at college.
Yeah.
Huh?
I love her immediate reaction was like, don't waste the champagne. It's really nice champagne.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Anyway, I've just never forgotten that story.
Lives rent-free in your brain.
It does live rent-free in my brain. So we went away on the weekend mole and we went to a beach that we've been going to for 35 years in northern New South Wales, down at New Brighton. It's my favourite place in the world to go. It's the place I went when we were recovering from cancer.
It's the place I had to visualise when I was going through my contractions pregnant.
Is that right?
They're like,
pick your happy place.
Pick your happy place. I'm like, the beach.
I got there and there's been a massive swell for 2 days, but it has just annihilated the dunes. The dunes were literally just like a cliff down to the beach. And it was actually really dangerous being at the beach with little kids.
Yeah.
Because we were playing in the sand and the waves were really, really far out. But because they're so flat now, like the beach is so low, suddenly the waves were on us and literally grabbed all the boys' toys and took them out. And like I'd bought a beer down for Dad. Like it took it, like it was all gone before we just scrambled to pick up the children and get off the beach. But so our favourite place that last time we went there was just such a blissful family experience was actually really stressful and actually not possible to sit on the beach with babies. But I had this moment of just feeling really, really sad because I thought this is a place that has been so special to us that we've known and loved for forever and it's something has fundamentally changed.
Yeah.
And it is feeling like the beginning of the end of that beautiful beach. Because we can pump sand back. That's what they're doing a lot on the Gold Coast here where we live. But it's really expensive. And how long can you do that for? And can you keep justifying it if every big swell is going to take it back out to sea again, you know?
And we're known for our beaches. Like that's one of our biggest sell points.
It's why people come to the Gold Coast. It's, you know, which is why the council's spending so much money pumping the sand back, but they're actually having to cut all these other programs and services because we're putting so much money into pumping the sand back.
I am aware of climate change, but I'm not like over the tiny details, but it does feel like we are kind of, it's just getting worse and worse. And like you watch those movies, like those doomsday movies, and they've got like the images of floods and fires all around the world. And it's kind of like, I feel like that's happening.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I remember seeing that quote that was like, climate change is something that you'll see, you know, through your mobile phone in other people's lives until suddenly it's here in your world, you know, and that's very much how I felt on the weekend. And I felt a real sense I haven't really felt before of climate grief. Actually, that's not true. I felt it after the bushfires when we had those horrific bushfires where millions of species were killed. Just this really feeling of climate grief. And I had someone explain it to me the other day, that climate grief is actually the grief you feel in the gap between what you're seeing and then the lack of action that's happening.
Yeah.
You know, like we're seeing our government approve coal mines and gas projects, and these are the things that we know fuel climate change and cause more of these, you know, crazy weather events.
And I think probably you being on the beach with your boys, they're not getting to experience like those beautiful childhoods, beach days that we had, because I think this is like the second time it's happened in like a short period of like since Charlie's been, he's what, 2.5?
Yeah, well, Artie was born in the cyclone, like on the night of the cyclone. So, and he's not even 1.5 yet.
And you didn't want to call him Alfred?
No, everyone was like, you've got to call him Alfred. And I was like, I don't know if it's good omen to name him after a destructive force of nature.
Point taken.
Yeah. My thing is always don't get anxious, get active. Yeah. So I'm going to commit. So I'm just saying it to you and our podcast listeners. I'm going to write to my local MP today.
Yeah.
And I'm going to write to the Senator Murray Watt, who's the Environment Minister for our region, and write them some kind of letter just sharing what I experienced on the weekend and how I'm feeling about it as a young mum.
Yeah.
And that I want to see the government and both sides of politics take more decisive action to stop coal and gas projects that are fueling this disaster.
Because I did read the other day, like, yes, we can all have input and we should be taking action, but at the end of the day, it's the big corporates and the government.
Yeah, it's ultimately like there are a few companies that are causing most of the environmental destruction that we're seeing. So in one sense, you're like, oh, sweet, I'm off the hook. It's what they've got to do. But actually, we're not off the hook because they're not going to do it if people don't pressure them to do it.
Yeah.
So I think putting pressure on the government, you know, is one of the most effective things that you can do as a citizen. You know, did you know that even like the idea of like a carbon footprint was actually created by the fossil fuel industry? It was like, I think it was BHP, because they were like, let's make people feel responsible for their own carbon footprint, you know, so they feel bad and they offset it. Same as, you know, recycling was invented by the plastics industry to put the personal responsibility back onto the individual. So you're like, oh, it's not our fault that we're making this plastic waste. It's you. You bought it and now it's your job to recycle it. So that is one side of the coin. But the other side of the coin is, as citizens, we can do a lot of things.
Because that's my question. Like, what can we do? I remember watching this amazing documentary 2 years ago at the Ocean Festival. It was this lady who was documenting climate change happening all over the world. Like, she was going into like the Himalayas and it was just like you left feeling so upset because they gave you no action about what to do at the end. So you're just like heartbroken and you're like, but there was not one call to action being like, go do this, go do this. So what?
Which I think is actually just really irresponsible as well, to like overwhelm people, make them feel sad and then not give them anything to do. It's like, you just paralyze people into fear, and then that's when you put your head in the sand.
I know. And it was this very beautiful model doing it all. And I was like,
cool.
Come on, give me something. Give me one action. I am like ready to go. Like, give me an action.
Well, I think if there's one action you're going to take, it would be to write to your MP. Write to your local MP.
Does it make a difference?
Well, you know, one, if they're never hearing from any of us, literally I know that our local member here has said before, well, no one talks to me about climate change. But I know there are hundreds, there are thousands of people in this community that care about it.
Yeah.
But if you only hears from people
Well,
on some issues.
Well, I care about it, but I've never written to my local MP.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people don't because you think, oh, what's the point? They're not going to listen.
Yeah.
Like I feel a bit like that with our local member. I'll write to him. He's not going to listen.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to start doing it anyway, you know?
I actually think probably why I didn't in Sydney was because my member was already on top of climate. Like she's pushing climate a lot, Allegra Spender.
Yeah.
So I reckon, but it's something I should definitely do. Is there anything else I can do?
Well, the other thing is the thing that I've been feeling, I read this fabulous book by Saul Griffiths called Plug In, and he talks about how actually as Australians we can make purchasing decisions in our own homes.
Yeah.
Not right now. I'm not saying rush out and buy an electric vehicle and,
Battery,
electrify because we can't afford to, but you're going to have to replace at some point your gas stove top. You're going to have to replace your car.
Yeah.
And if we make the right decisions when you do those and electrify those things, he reckons we can actually 50% of the emissions of Australia can be solved from from household things. And I love that he actually says we should be thinking about everyone's cars and gas cooktops as like national infrastructure in the government. And I'm very passionate that government should be helping especially low income earners to transition so we can do it justly, you know.
And you're saying transition from
a petrol running car to an electric one, or transition from a gas stovetop to an electric one, because overall you're going to save money. Yeah. It's better for your health and it's better for the planet.
Well, I was speaking to the CEO of Resinc, and they are a solar and battery company. And I was like, let's talk some figures. And he was saying, which really surprised me, he was like, if you're paying an electric bill every month, like he's like, get solar or get a battery because you're going to be paying a bill no matter what. So you may as well be paying off your battery.
So he's saying though, get a loan to pay for.
Yeah, get a green loan.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was interesting.
Yeah, green loan, because like you're going to, rather than paying like for your gas bill or your electricity bill, you might be paying the bill for the solar or the battery.
Yeah, but at least you're then paying it off.
And in time you'll own it. That's really interesting.
But I'm really excited for that episode to come out as well because it was like eye-opening because I didn't know anything about batteries or solar.
Well, I know I've been dooming and glooming a bit about how I was feeling about the beaches, but the flip side is a lot of people are taking great action. Yeah. So globally, actually just last month, first time ever that we've had more renewables powering the world than gas. So it's 22% for renewables, 20% for gas, which is great because we know we've got to get off gas and coal and oil. The other really good thing is Australians have now installed, we're installing 2,000 home batteries a day. So we're up to 400,000 batteries now in Australia. And what that ultimately means is those batteries will become a replacement for expensive gas. Because at night when we hit that peak hour, people are then going to be, their batteries will kick in and they'll be running off their solar that they charged up on during the day. So it will actually replace expensive, unreliable gas, which is great. So there's lots of good things happening. So Mol, for someone who I would say is not that into politics, you've got a bit of a political crush going on that you can't stop talking about.
Zoran Mamdani. Oh my God.
The mayor of New York City.
The mayor of New York City. Give me some coffee. He's such a buzz. He's come in and he's doing things. Everyone's loving him. And it feels like the good news story the world needs to hear.
Yeah.
And, you know, also when you've got that president, you need something to like...
He does feel like the light in the American political system right now, doesn't he? Yeah. But also globally, I feel like why I've never followed a mayor of New York on social media, but I just can't get enough.
I'm always
of
like,
him.
what's he done this week?
Yeah.
What's he done? Whose smiles?
And his social media is next level good. I would say he's doing the best social media of any politician in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't follow too many, but he's up there.
Trust me, I do.
You do.
Yeah.
So just a couple of things he's done in the last few days. So World Cup ticket access. So he was like, we're going to get New York residents a chance to purchase $50 World Cup tickets. He's bought in a luxury second home tax. So New York's moved to a luxury tax on their second home in New York City.
That's right. So that's like people that have a home that they maybe don't even ever come to.
Well, to have a home in New York, we're talking mills.
You got big money.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're fine.
Yeah.
And so then he's charging them more tax on that sort of empty, because I believe a lot of really wealthy people will have a giant, penthouse or something that they never visit, or maybe they visit once a year if that, and they're just sitting there vacant. So he's charging them, which is so cool. No one's going to have an issue with that other than a few billionaires.
And then he's also filled in all the potholes in New York as well. He did that in his first week. So it was filling in the 100,000 pothole.
Do you know on that, there was apparently this in the Brooklyn Bridge, like in the cycle lane, there was some bump or something that cyclists had been whinging about for years and years and years.
Yeah.
And in his first couple of days in office, he went down there and he's like, and he made a video about it. He's like, we fixed it. And I just thought that is such smart politics. Because also what you're saying to people is there's no issue too big or too small that I'm not going to, like, I'm listening to you and I'm going to just fix this random annoying thing that, you know, how many people would pass over that every day? I just thought it was really smart.
He also walks to work every day, and then like New Yorkers are just coming up to him. They're getting selfies, they're having conversations with him.
What I thought was so interesting about when he ran his campaign was I'm sitting here on the other side of the world and I knew his 3 campaign pillars. It was freeze the rent, free buses and free childcare. I was like, I couldn't even tell you what the Labor government's campaign slogan was at the last election. I don't know what they ran on.
There's real learnings in that.
Yeah, he was just clear, simple. Another big thing for Mamdani was his free childcare, and he did this amazing video, rolled it out with Miss Rachel. Don't know if you know Miss Rachel yet, but she's, you know, a YouTube sensation. If you're under 5,
I do, because I had to put her on once when I looked after your child once, because he would not do anything I said.
Loves Miss Rachel.
I put Miss Rachel on.
Yeah,
sorry.
He doesn't watch it often. It's like a very, very rare treat, or when you're really stuffed and you just need to get him to do something. But yeah, so he launched it with Miss Rachel, which was gorgeous. But he effectively is trying to roll, like he's doing pilot programs for free childcare for expanding it for 3-year-olds, but he's going to bring it in for 2-year-olds as well. Because I think if you've got a kid in daycare in New York, it's going to cost you, you know, $20,000 or more US a year. Yeah. Imagine that, like $20,000 relieved, and to have it free, like the choices and the opportunity that opens for women.
Yeah, big time.
But I think what's really interesting about him is he's just showing that I think people are not used to politicians doing what they say they're going to do. And seems to have gotten it done so quickly. Like he's done so much in his, what's he been in for, 100 days or
and I think more? Especially when you compare him to the guy before who was like up on sexual assault
charges,
allegations,
sexual harassment charges.
Yeah, and you're like, wow, he's just such a happy, friendly looking guy. You just want to be his friend. Yeah. I'm like, I want to go have beers with Mamdani.
I know. He seems like a genuinely wonderful, lovely person. But, you know, I think a lot of politicians could take a leaf out of his book, take note of what he's doing, you know, because he's being bold in his policy. And I think that's what people want, don't they? They don't want people like, oh, we'll give you this little bit and we'll give you that little bit and we'll change and we'll tinker with this. They're like, we want reform that's actually going to improve our lives.
But I also think a lot does get done behind the scenes, but we're just not aware of it because they're not communicating it to us. And what I loved that, again, what he did was he went into one of the call centers in New York and he was like, did you know this is a service for like New Yorkers? I'm going to spend a day with them. So then he'd jump on the call and he's like, hi, it's Mamdani here. And they're like, is in the mayor? He's like, yep, the mayor. And they're like, just having small things that they needed fixed. And then people in the chat are like, oh, I didn't even know this was a service. I'm in New York. I didn't even know this was available. Yeah, so he's also highlighting what's also available.
He is a masterful communicator. But I think within that, he's a masterful communicator, but he's taking the care and the effort and the energy and using the resources to bother communicating. Yeah. Because he actually really respects his constituents. Yeah. And he knows that most people are tuned out and they're busy and they're stressed and they're not following politics. So he's being creative and he uses humour.
All politicians could use a bit more humour.
So Mole, Scone-gate. We spoke about scones and the order in which you put your jam and cream last week.
A controversial topic.
Yeah. Well, a few controversial things that have come out.
Yeah.
Ash Pollard, a friend of ours who we went to school with, she was a bit aghast that I actually put butter on a scone.
Okay.
So I retract that actually. I don't know that I actually do that. I do it when they're warm, but generally not.
You would do it because our mother does it.
Yeah.
She loves butter.
Yeah, she does love butter. So I admit we can get rid of the butter. But Charlotte commented on the post, and this is big, Mole.
Yeah.
This is big. She'd always gone jam and then cream. But Prince William was recently asked, and he said he learnt from his grandma, the Queen, obviously.
Thank you, Brownie.
That they go cream and then jam. And she was saying that, well, I feel like the Queen would be the ultimate authority on the order. I mean,
I want to see photo evidence of that.
I do too. But guys, I just think if the Queen says that's the order, maybe I've been doing it wrong my whole life.
Wow. Queen knows.
Someone also did comment traditionally when you're doing it in the UK, it's clotted cream, which is much, much thicker.
Yeah.
So
it's more like a butter.
Yeah. So you spread it on the scone first and then you dollop the jam on top.
Oh my God, I love clotted cream so much.
So do I.
And having a
You
dairy.
can kind of feel your arteries filling up though, can't you, as you eat it?
I
You're
know.
like, this is so bad for me.
But I think we're also so influenced by, and people listening might be as well, you're so influenced by your mother and what they liked, I think. Because we like all the things she likes because I don't think we had much of a choice.
There's still actresses years on that I'm like, oh, I don't like her. I'm like, why don't I like her? Oh, yeah, because mum didn't like her.
And like mothers will hold a grudge against your school friends like never before. I remember this one girl was mean to me once and mum's always like, how's that girl going? And I'm like, mum, like
it was
one
ago.
time in like grade 7 and mum's like, I'll never forgive her.
Thanks, mum.
Thanks, mum. And what was interesting, I was doing a session with Ladies Finance Club. We're talking about money mindset because when it comes to your money mindset, it's made up by the time you're 7 years old and it's heavily influenced by your parents. And people do things and they're like, I don't know why I do that. It's very much related to how they grew up. And this one girl was talking about how her mum they'd go shopping and her mum would be like, hide it from your father. So like take the shopping bags inside, hide them, and then bring them out like a week later and wear it. And then if dad says, is that something new? You can just say, no, it's not. Oh, I've had it for a while. And she's like, now I do that with my kids. I'll be like, and she's like, she didn't realize it was because her mum used to do it because it was a money story. Like her mum was like, well, I don't feel like it's my money because I haven't earned it. So she didn't want the father to think like they'd been spending. But anyway, this woman was now earning her own money, but still doing the same habits that she had seen, which I just thought was interesting.
So powerful, isn't it? Those patterns that are set up from an early age that are often like running unconsciously.
Yeah. And a lot of the time when people find that they are kind of ignoring their money, well, that can come back for a number of reasons. Sometimes it's because their parents used to fight about money and it was a source of conflict. So they're like, well, I don't want to deal with that because that's painful.
So where do you start? Like, how do you unpick?
Well, Brian, it's in chapter 1 of my book. But a really
yes, I definitely have read it. Sorry, I know. I have.
A really good place to start is just like looking back at how was money discussed when you were growing up? Was it something done behind closed doors? Was it something that was fought about? And I even had this one client and she grew up with heaps of money and like money wasn't an issue. But then she had this idea that, well, someone will always take care of me and I don't actually have to worry about it because there's always been money there. All of a sudden the situation changed. She's looking after her own paycheck and just like ignoring it completely. So I think actually looking at what's your money story and what are your beliefs around money as well. Because when we think about it, we don't have very good female role models when it comes to money. No. Like if you think about them, they're all quite psychopathy.
The Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah, the Crazy Rich Asian mum, the
Cruella de Vil.
Yeah, even Mean Girls like Regina, whatever her name is, Regina George.
The one that Rachel McAdams plays.
George, yeah. She's like this wealthy mean girl. Like when you look at, like, it's very rare to find a wealthy woman who is a good role model, but it's very easy to find the male counterparts and they're always super sexy and like...
Yeah, Wolf of Wall Street. Yeah. The man, the lad with the power and all the women and the boat. And,
yeah, Great Gatsby. Pretty much any character Leonardo DiCaprio's played.
Yeah, exactly. With a 20-year-old girlfriend.
And if you're constantly being fed that message of being wealthy is going to make me a bad person, it's going to make me a selfish person, it's going to make me an ugly person, what are you going to do when you get money? You're going to like not deal with it. You're going to get rid of it. Yeah. You're going to give it away. You're going to spend it. So knowing your money story, knowing your beliefs around money, and then starting to change them. Anyway, thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
I loved it. I love your TED Talks. So Mol, how's motherhood going this week?
Look, it is good. But what I find really interesting reflecting on, like, I'm 4 months in so far, is like when I was pregnant, I did a pregnancy course. Like, we're looking at different parenting courses. There's lots of parenting courses out there. There's lots of like the giving birth courses. Breastfeeding. And there's a lot of support around that, which is fantastic. But what I've really found interesting is there's nothing around how much your relationship changes with your partner. And there's no course in that. And I really think there should be a course. And if you know a course, let me know.
Yeah, totally.
But like you go from being like these like fun-filled,
Fun,
do
sexy,
anything you want on the weekends, great holidays, trips, and then all of a sudden you can still do elements of those things, but life is different and life has
You're
changed.
grounded at home. You're not sleeping.
Yeah.
Everything is put to the test.
Yeah, and I remember coming back home from the hospital and I was like, okay, we're doing all right. And it was like the first night of no sleep. Times that by 21 days, like you feel different. You're like, am I doing this?
Your fuse is short.
Your
You're
fuse
tired,
is so
you're
short.
grumpy.
Sometimes they can do nothing right and it's almost not their fault.
Yeah.
I just find it interesting that nothing really preps you for that. And I feel like if there's not a course, then I want to get some like couples counselors and do a course on that.
Yeah. I remember looking around for something like that before we had our baby, because I had met a woman who'd said what changed my life is my husband and I, who were in a really good place. Yeah. We had a really great relationship. We went and did some like couples therapy, counseling before the baby came, and he was quite resistant to it because he's like, why? We're really good. And she's like, yeah, we're about to have everything change.
Yeah.
And so they went and did that, and she said it was amazing. Like all their friends who are like fighting at each other's throats, wanting to kill each other in those first 6 weeks.
Yeah.
They were just like smoothly sailing through it. And I never could like find where to go, or like it was really hard to find someone that could take you through it.
What I find interesting is like literally every person I've talked to, every mother I've talked to, they're all having similar experiences. Like it's hard to communicate. They just don't get it sometimes. And they're doing a lot behind the scenes. You're doing a lot behind the scenes, but you're not seeing what each other's doing as well.
Yeah.
Like my partner's incredible. He does like the dishwasher. He always does the laundry. He's always cleaning up. There's still times you just bump heads because also you're bringing up a child together. And again, like similar to money mindset, you've had different experiences growing up. You have different ideas of how to do things.
Yes, and how you want to parent.
And how you want to parent. But like you're just kind of working it out on the fly. And I'm just like, we take our puppies to puppy school, but we don't like have relationship school.
Or parenting school for that matter.
Yeah.
You know, like it shocks me. Like you can't go drive a car without doing training and doing a course and getting a license and getting a test, but you can just have a baby. It's like effectively the most important thing you could ever do.
Again,
like
I looked around for like what courses out there, and there's a government run one, which I'm like, great, better than nothing. But I literally got 5 minutes into it and was like, I literally can't anymore. Yeah. Death by.
That reminds me, there's a parenting course I've been meaning to do forever. A guy I went to college with, he was just the most gorgeous, gorgeous guy. And his brother was such a gorgeous, gorgeous man. And I remember meeting his mum one day and being like, what did you do? How did you bring up these two most beautiful boys? And she's like, well, I actually run parenting programs. And I was like, okay, sign me up. And I was thinking about her last week because she still does them. So that's a good kick up the bum for me that I'm going to go do that.
Yes.
And
we need to find the name of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll report back on how I go.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, this week, what I think has to go is paying for space in the cloud. Oh my God.
That's not going to go, Mol. Do you want to lose all your memories? It's a subscription plan. They're very clever.
I'm already paying for one and now it's like you've taken up too much space. I feel like I've deleted what I can. But then I'm like, do I need all these photos? Do I actually need them all?
Probably don't. Just
cull.
But do you have time to go delete them? Probably not.
No.
That's where they get you.
What's got to go for you this week?
Well, what's got to go is probably my excuse to not exercise at the moment, because I'm always like, I've got 2 children and I can't leave the house. Like, it's quite hard to leave the house with 2 of them because one doesn't want to get in the pram. Yeah. The other one will still get in the pram. Yeah. But I solved it this week. I got this little bike attachment that goes on the end of the pram. Charlie is absolutely stoked. He feels like he's driving a bike, even though he's literally there, but he's strapped in. So it means I can walk and leave the house. So I suppose my excuse of I can't leave the house and walk now has got to go. And maybe also, even though it's raining torrentially, like I was thinking back to my gap year. Didn't matter if it was raining or snowing, like the sport would still go on.
Yeah.
And so I think I've actually got to get out of the mindset a bit of like, it's raining, I can't go outside. It's like, put on a raincoat, put on some gumboots. It's okay. You're not going to die. The kids will love it. Like, just get out there and get into the rain. Doesn't matter.
I know. And actually, I can take a page out of your book there, because the other day I went to Pilates. I got the pram in the car. I put the bouncer in the car. I got to Pilates. I took it all out, lost something from the thing, had to go back out, get someone to hold the bed. Anyway, I was so exhausted, and it wasn't from the actual Pilates, that I was like, I think I understand why people do home workouts now.
Yeah.
So I did some boxing with my partner and I was like, that was a good workout and I didn't have to travel anywhere.
Yeah. Hard to stick to it. I just can't motivate myself to do it at night by myself. But yes, not leaving the house because it's wet.
Yeah, but if anyone's got any good video or like Pilates online recommendations, please let me know. Well, got to go save the planet. Got to go right to my MP.
Yeah, got to go right to my MP. I am going to do that. I have to do it now because I've said on the podcast I will do it. I'm going to write to my MP. I'm going to write to my senator. I'll report back next week.
Great.